I wanted to be a doctor. The closest I ever got, I was a physician's assistant. Well, I was a caddy. Retired people? Okay. I started out doing comedy in the Washington, D.C. area, and even though I was pretty close to New York, I never really did much with the clubs up there. I did go up there a couple of times, though. Once was with several of my comic friends from open mics. They had all gotten spots at a club in New York City, but it was a bringer show, which means you have to bring people. So they asked if I would come along as one of their bringers. I think it was a Wednesday night, and we drove up in a van. It was 4 guys and me. Once we parked and got out of the car in the middle of New York City, I heard this woman from across the street yell, "Hey, Jan!" I turned around, and it was a friend of mine from Virginia who was an actress. I hadn't seen her in a while, and apparently she had moved to New York. After we said hello and she left, a couple of the guys in the van started laughing. I said, "What's wrong?" They said, "We know her too. She's a dancer at one of the strip clubs in D.C. Well, okay. I've never seen her again, so I'm not sure if she's acting or dancing or whatever. But it was kind of odd to run into someone in New York City that I knew. Anyway, the shows went well for the guys, and our 12 hours driving up and back was fun. The next time I went to New York was with my friend Rob. He and I started out at open mics together, and we were just best friends going to all of the open mics around D.C. We decided to go up on a Saturday night to New York City to check out some of the clubs. We were so naive, we had no idea that Saturday night is a really hot night for comedy clubs in New York. You really shouldn't go up and bug the owners about popping in. But we went up anyway. We rode the train, which took a few hours, but it wasn't bad, and then we pooled some money together for cabs, and we picked out about 5 clubs that we wanted to visit. We walked up to each club, said we were comedians from Virginia, and we wanted to check out the room and the show, and could we come in? We had business cards saying we were comedians, so, it was all official, and we were very polite and sincere. And I have to say, every single club we went to on a crowded Saturday night in New York City treated us great. They all let us in without a cover. They showed us where we could sit. No one even asked us for our comedian identification. We went to the comic strip first, and it was a blast. They let us in, and we saw the show for about 45 minutes or so. Then we went over to Dangerfields. It actually wasn't that busy, and they let us in and put us in a booth. Very nice. We stayed for a bit of that show, too. Then we went over to the Comedy Cellar. It was packed. We did our usual, explaining to the woman at the door who we were, and she not only let us in, but they didn't have enough chairs, so she went out of her way to go in the back and bring in some seats so we both would be able to sit down. Really nice. We got to see some big names, too. I remember Colin Quinn from Saturday Night Live was one of the comics on the show that night. I can't remember the other 2 clubs, but I remember the amazing time we had that night. After a round of clubs, we caught the 1 a.m. train back to D.C. and got in, I think, around 5 or 6 in the morning. It was a really memorable trip, and we talked about it for years. The takeaway from this is to be sincere, and people will usually help you out. We really, I don't think, look like comedians, whatever that's supposed to look like, but I think are being naive and that we're just polite and explaining what we wanted to do. The clubs just let us in. Or maybe they just thought we were a couple of goofballs. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out my website, theworklady.com. This is Jan. Take care and enjoy your journey.